Chapter 1292. Dark Forces. Dmo Xian's handsome brows creased slightly as he looked at Yiqing Luo. Are you sure? Logically speaking, under the harassment of the Arch Palace, the Dark Forces would definitely not have the time to attack these youngsters from the World Mercenary Group. To the Dark Forces. As long as Yiqing Luo wasn't around, they could casually send out any cultivator and they would be able to squash these youngsters to death like ants. The Dark Forces' target was only Yiqing Luo's profound heart jade and Yiqing Luo only. How could they possibly ambush the world group at this critical juncture? Yiqing Luo remained silent for a moment and slowly shook her head. I'm not too sure. The profound Yiqi's response is very weak. She took a deep breath and closed her eyes again, preparing to magnify her perception. Suddenly she felt a dull pain in her chest, causing her face to pale. Her fair little hand pressed against her chest, her eyebrows knitted tightly, her breathing heavy. Don't force yourself. Dmo Xian noticed the change in her expression and grabbed her hand which was placed on her chest. It hasn't been long since the extraction of the heart bone. Your body isn't suitable to use profound energy. Yiqing Luo opened her eyes and didn't persist any further. Even if he could sense the faint mysterious yin qi, it would be useless whether it was from the Dark Forces or not. Right now, the most important thing was to find his brothers so that he could know what had happened last night. The two of them stood in the middle of a group of corpses, their gazes searching through the charred corpses. His heart, which was hanging in the air, gradually calmed down. There were no corpses here. Not a single one. This meant that her brothers were still alive. Lil Luo, look over there. Dmo Xian pointed towards the direction of the independent courtyard. Look at the ground. Yiqing Luo followed the direction of Dmo Xian's finger. Countless messy footprints could be seen on the charred ground. Bloody footprints led in the direction of the independent courtyard. Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian exchanged glances and both of them rushed towards the independent courtyard at the same time. Following the clear footprints on the charred ground, he arrived at Long Yunzhan's courtyard. The two of them walked in and their footprints finally stopped at the door of Long Yunzhan's bedroom. The bedroom had already been burnt black and almost everything had been burnt down. The ground was covered with piles of charred wood, scattered all over the place. Dmo Xian pulled Yiqing Luo's wrist and shoved her behind his back. Soon after, the wind from his palms stirred, and a hurricane blew up all the wood shavings in the room. Under the layers of wood chips, a square hole was revealed near the corner of the wall. Was that a secret passage? Long Yunzhan's room actually had a secret passage. Is this another secret tunnel that the old man holy thief built when he had nothing better to do? In other words, there was a high possibility that the world group members had left through this secret passage? After the hurricane dissipated, Yiqing Luo's figure flashed as she stood in front of the cave entrance. He reached out and touched something near the entrance of the cave. With a ka sound, the entire corner of the wall collapsed, revealing a hole that could fit a person. It was indeed a secret passage. Yiqing Luo's eyes shone brightly as she pulled Dmo Xian's hand and was about to rush into the secret passage. Dmo Xian held her little hand tightly and pulled her behind him. Only then did he take the lead and walk into the secret passage. It was just a casual action, but it made Yiqing Luo's lips curl into a sweet smile. The two of them, one in front and one behind, entered the secret passage. This secret passage wasn't considered spacious, and it was extremely simple. Chapter 1293. This secret passage was about 10 meters long. When the two of them walked out of the secret passage, they discovered that outside the secret passage was an abandoned forest behind the old house that had not been taken care of for a long time. As the commoners said, this fire only destroyed the entire old house. The houses near the old house and the abandoned forest were not affected at all. Perhaps, when the other party burned down the old residence, they had specially set up a barrier to isolate the outside world. On the ground there were countless messy bloody footprints. It was especially eye-catching on the withered leaves. Yiqing Luo took a look at the direction of those footprints. It was the direction to the abandoned forest. Just as she was about to follow the footprints, her ears twitched and her expression froze. Who is it? At the same time, Dmo Xian tightened his grip around her waist. A majestic profound energy surged out from his body, sweeping up the fallen leaves on the ground. A tall figure walked out of the forest, his blue robe fluttering in the wind. When she met that pair of azure blue eyes, Yiqing Luo retracted the vigilance in her eyes as she speedily went up. Ah Zhan, are the brothers all right? Long Yunzhan shook his head lightly. Everyone is safe. Yiqing Luo heaved a long sigh of relief and patted her chest. It's good that you're all right, it's good that you're all right. It's all thanks to the help of the Emperor Palace's disciples sent by His Majesty. They escorted us all the way to safety. Long Yunzhan cupped his hands together as he bowed towards Dmo Xian. Lord Overlord, I represent all the brothers to thank Lord Overlord for lending a helping hand. His tone was extremely sincere. This was his heartfelt gratitude. Last night, if it wasn't for the Emperor Palace's disciples, he wouldn't have been able to ensure the safety of all his brothers. Your little Luo's brothers, this lord can't bear to see little Luo, upset. There's no need to thank me. Dmo Xian hugged the young lady in his arms tightly as he spoke the truth. It was also a declaration to Long Yunzhan. Only he could protect this woman. Long Yunzhan's eyelids drooped down as he tried his best to control himself, not looking at the intimacy between Dmo Xian and Yiqing Luo. Zhan, are you hurt? Yiqing Luo could smell the faint scent of blood in the air. It floated over from Long Yunzhan's direction. She reached out, grabbed Long Yunzhan's wrist and felt his pulse. Long Yunzhan retracted his hand in a panic. I'm fine. Are you all right? Yiqing Luo's expression turned chilly, as her earlier joyous mood that her brothers were safe and sound instantly congealed. She forcefully grabbed Long Yunzhan's arm and sneered, "Weak aura, excessive blood loss, you call this fine?" Long Yunzhan's thin lips trembled. He lowered his head and did not reply. Yiqing Luo then discovered that Long Yunzhan's frail body was actually trembling slightly. His injuries, it was definitely not light. Seeing Yiqing Luo's expression turning colder and colder, Long Yunzhan's brows creased slightly as he explained in an extremely unnatural manner. The ghost doctor has already personally bandaged my wounds, and I've also eaten the pills that the ghost doctor personally refined. I've also obtained the ghost doctor's permission to come here to pick you up. The ghost doctor is here too? He was a person who was afraid of trouble and would rather spend all his time refining pills and researching pills. He actually became a doctor and helped these youths bandage their wounds? Perhaps, it must be because of her. Her ghost doctor master. Yiqing Luo sighed helplessly. It seemed that she owed more and more favors. Yiqing Luo released Long Yunzhan's wrist. Where are all of you now? Are you safe? At the mention of this topic, a strange expression appeared on Long Yunzhan's face, which had always been calm. Chapter 1294. By the time Yiqing Luo followed Long Yunzhan to the World Group's temporary residence, she finally understood why Long Yunzhan's expression was so strange. The World Group's old residence was at the west side of Three Springs City, and the place where they were temporarily staying was at the east side of Three Springs City. The people who stayed at the east side were either rich or respectable. This huge mansion was a luxurious mansion, extremely luxurious. After they stepped into the mansion, Yiqing Luo sensed that something was amiss. This huge mansion. No matter if it was the furnishings or the style, it was almost the same as the old mansion which Xianxia had bought. Even that pond in the garden was exactly the same. If it wasn't for the fact that she had seen it with her own eyes earlier, the old mansion had been burnt to ashes. She even suspected if she had walked into the previous old mansion. There weren't many people in the entire huge mansion. It was until Long Yunzhan led them to the rear courtyard when Yiqing Luo faintly heard someone talking. She saw 10 over young men dressed as manservants bustling about. Some were carrying medicinal soup, walking back and forth. Some were carrying water basins, walking back and forth. There were 10 over maids who were in the same state. Zhao Bo and the rest were among them, interacting with those manservants, while busying themselves with the matters on hand. "Captain Long, you're back." Suddenly, a clear voice was heard from one of the rooms. A man dressed in a dark red woven gold robe, with brown auspicious clouds rolling around him, walked out from the room. The man's black hair was coiled up, secured by a purple jade crown, neat and tidy. His lips carried an intimate smile, as though he was a graceful gentleman, as gentle as jade. From the looks of it, this man's age wasn't old, roughly around 21 or 22 years old. Long Yunzhan's expression congealed as he nodded towards that man. "Young Master Shi." Others might not be able to detect the change in Long Yunzhan's expression, but how would Yiqing Luo, who understood Long Yunzhan, not notice it? She sized up the seemingly gentle man in front of her in confusion, secretly guessing his identity. That man noticed Yiqing Luo's gaze as he gave her a warm and courteous smile. "I believe this must be the extraordinary lady which Captain Long mentioned, young sect master Yiqing Luo? Seeing is believing, indeed you're devastatingly beautiful." His tone was just right. Anyone who heard it would not feel the slightest bit disgusted. It made people feel that he was praising her sincerely, without any blasphemy. "I am Xuanhuan from the Shi clan." The man introduced himself. Yiqing Luo had never heard of this person's name and there wasn't any information about him in her mind. However, she still maintained an elegant smile on her face. Young Master Shi. This is. Xuanhuan looked at Dmo Xian who was standing beside Yiqing Luo. This man's presence was too strong. Especially when he was praising Yiqing Luo, this man's gaze seemed as though he wanted to dismember him. Yiqing Luo held onto Dmo Xian's arm, smiled and didn't answer. But this action also represented the answer to everything. Qing Luo. Earlier when Xuanhuan walked out from the room, Xiao Jin's voice was heard. In the next instant Xiao Jin walked out of the house. He was in a sorry state and his uniform was in tatters. His long hair was disheveled and scattered over his shoulders, and there was a patch of greenish-black under his eyebrows. His eyes were filled with exhaustion and when he saw Yiqing Luo, he forced out a smile. You're finally back. Yiqing Luo's slender brows creased as she looked at the open door. No need to guess, that must be Yan Xiaoyi's room. Xiao Jin's gaze paused on Xuanhuan for a moment. Chapter 1295. No need. Yiqing Luo wasn't in the mood to rest. What exactly happened? Why was the old house burned down? Xiao Jin's expression sank slightly, and he was just about to speak. He glanced at Xuanhuan out of the corner of his eye and stopped what he was about to say. The ghost doctor and god thief are waiting for you. Let's go over first. Xuanhuan gave a gentle smile knowingly. I'll go buy some more herbs. You guys can chat first. Yiqing Luo nodded her head slightly as she expressed her gratitude in a mild voice. This man, who looked as gentle as jade, seemed to be graceful and polite, and his every movement was extremely elegant. But maybe it was because Long Yunzhan and Xiao Jin's attitude towards him wasn't that warm, and there was a trace of distance. Yiqing Luo disliked the house and its crow, so she didn't have any good impression of Xuanhuan. After Xuanhuan left, Xiao Jin led the way at the front. He briefly explained the fire that had happened last night. When Yiqing Luo heard that, her slender brows creased slightly as she squeezed out a few words between her teeth. Yiqing Qian, it's her again? Yiqing Qian actually dared to come out and create trouble. At this critical juncture he was still unwilling to let the world group off. Other than Yiqing Qian, who hated her to the core, there was no one else. Did he really think that he would be invincible just because he held onto the leopard saint technique's thigh? Yiqing Luo's eyes were filled with an evil cold intent. Little Luo, don't be rash. Dmo Xian's long arm wrapped around her slender waist. He did not like to see such an expression on her face. I won't be impulsive. Yiqing Luo sneered, her little hand covered the hand on her waist. I was just thinking. If I see Yiqing Qian next time, I will not hold back and tear her into pieces. She would not impulsively seek revenge on Yiqing Qian now. Yiqing Qian's backing was the Dark Forces, Wolf Saint's forces. The brothers of the World Group had yet to recover from their injuries. Furthermore, because she was repairing the glowing flame fan, her heart bone and heart blood had been extracted, and the abnormalities in her body had yet to dissipate. She was impulsive. He was bound to suffer. But, for this revenge, she would definitely make Yiqing Qian pay a painful price. She wanted Yiqing Qian to suffer a fate worse than death. The ruthless glint in his eyes was like a sharp blade. The atmosphere instantly froze. Xiao Jin suddenly stopped in his tracks as he turned around to look at Dmo Xian. Today the world group was able to escape by a fluke, all thanks to the Imperial Palace's disciples' help. His words broke the strange and cold atmosphere at this moment. The iciness in Yiqing Luo's eyes dissipated as she raised her eyes to look at Xiao Jin. Xiao Jin sincerely bowed towards Dmo Xian. Lord Overlord has lent a helping hand today. If there's any need for me in future, I will definitely risk my life to help you. It could be said that it was the lives of all the brothers in the world group. He was saved by a disciple of the Emperor Palace. The Imperial Palace's disciples protecting them secretly was under Dmo Xian's instructions. No matter if Dmo Xian's action was to protect them or for Yiqing Luo. It was an indisputable fact that the Emperor Palace had saved the world group. Dmo Xian didn't stand on ceremony as he held a smile that didn't look like a smile, his brows raised slightly. There will definitely be a place where I can use you. After walking down 2 long corridors, they arrived at the direction of the medicine refining room. Ghost Doctor was refining medicinal pills while God Thief was chewing on a piece of straw in boredom, looking around the surroundings. On seeing Yiqing Luo entering, God Thief's face was filled with joy. Yiqing Luo, you're finally back. Master Ghost Doctor, Yiqing Luo's gaze was fixed on Ghost Doctor and God Thief for some time, as she hesitated to speak. Chapter 1296. Ever since the last time at God Thief's courtyard, she had seen the both of them. Yiqing Luo felt that they definitely knew each other previously. The ghost doctor's appearance here was mostly because of God Thief. Yiqing Luo had a strange feeling. It seemed like Ghost Doctor took her in as his disciple. She met God Thief in Death God Castle and brought him out. Everything. It was fated in the unseen world. Intentional? Yiqing Luo didn't know why she would have such a thought. Only that things happen one after another. The dark forces kept on harassing and attacking her. The more Yiqing Luo felt, the more she felt that everything seemed to be deliberate. Of course, she didn't doubt God Thief and Ghost Doctor's sincerity towards her. She believed that Ghost Doctor and God Thief really treated her like a girl and doted on her. The smile on God Thief's face froze as he coughed dryly. This isn't important. The important thing is, you already know about the old mansion's fire last night, right? Seeing that God Thief had no intention to tell her, Yiqing Luo didn't continue to ask. She believed that one day, God Thief would tell her about his matter. Yiqing Luo nodded her head as her slender brows creased slightly, going along with God Thief as she changed the topic. Our brothers traveled through the night and took different routes back to the old residence, yet they were detected by the dark forces. This is just too strange. To everyone, Devil Class was going to challenge the Overseer on the second day. No matter what, they couldn't possibly leave the West Lawn Square on the night of the challenge. Yiqing Luo had specially asked the brothers to split into different routes to leave the West Lawn Square. Most importantly, other than themselves, no one else knew that Devil Class's students had taken the spirit-returning pill. How could the dark forces be so coincidental? Choosing today to set fire to the old mansion? Resolutely setting fire and even sent 200 over dark forces to assassinate them. Apparently they were certain that they were in the old mansion. Moreover, they clearly knew that they didn't have any combat ability and wanted to burn them alive. The old mansion was guarded by God Thief. If anyone investigated the matters in the old mansion, God Thief would definitely know about it immediately. Which means, the dark forces know about our whereabouts. Xiao Jin frowned. Be careful during this period. Pay attention to whether there are any suspicious people around you. Yiqing Luo's gaze swept the surroundings as she suppressed her voice. If the dark forces are really clear of our whereabouts and current situation, then staying here might implicate that young Master Shi. When Xiao Jin and Long Yunzhan heard this, the expressions on their faces changed slightly. Xiao Jin's brows furrowed even more tightly as his face darkened. This young Master Shi still brought us to his house even though he knew that we had enmity with our enemies. I don't believe that he's just being kind. It wasn't that Yiqing Luo didn't believe that there were kind-hearted people in this world. But the word kind heart was really not related to Xuanhuan. Even though Xuanhuan appeared to be extremely gentle and refined. However, his pair of jade-like gentle eyes had already revealed his true inner thoughts. Xuanhuan was definitely plotting something. But, at this moment, Xuanhuan brought them into the house and sent men over to coordinate with the world group members to take care of those who were still unconscious. He had to return this favor. It was better to have a plan. At least it was easier to return the favor. A debt of gratitude was the hardest to repay. Chapter 1297. Xiao Jin's face grew darker and darker. His body tensed, his fists clenched tightly. Yiqing Luo looked at Xiao Jin's reaction in puzzlement. Could it be that Xuanhuan had already proposed some conditions that were extremely difficult for them to comply with? Long Yunzhan's cold eyes glanced at Xiao Jin as he slowly shook his head and said indifferently, "Young Master Shi is indeed not purely kind. The reason why he would help the world group is because..." He paused and looked away, no longer looking at Xiao Jin's expression. "Young Master Shi is Xiao Yi's fiancé." This sentence was like a stone thrown into the calm surface of the water, causing ripples to appear. Fiancé? Yan Xiao Yi's fiancé? Why had he never heard Yan Xiaoyi mention that she had a fiancé? Then, what about Xiao Jin? Yan Xiaoyi liked Xiao Jin. Xiao Jin liked Yan Xiaoyi. The relationship between the two of them could actually be seen by observant women like her and Tong Ziqing. If Yan Xiaoyi had a fiancé, then wouldn't Xiao Jin be lovelorn? No wonder every time Xuanhuan was mentioned, Xiao Jin's face would turn as black as charcoal. It was no wonder that Xiao Jin did not have a good expression when facing Xuanhuan. It said that her fiancé was chosen by her family. A slender figure walked through the door. Her pink hunting attire added a touch of color to the gloomy atmosphere. Peach walked in and told them the news that she had just specially inquired about. The elders of the two families met 2 months ago. The master and madam of the Shi family have also agreed to this marriage. As soon as Xiao Yi graduates from the academy, the marriage will be arranged. The fiancé that the Yan family found for Yan Xiao Yi? Even though Yan Xiao Yi rarely mentioned the things that happened in the Yan family, but Yiqing Luo could more or less feel it. Yan Xiao Yi was at the Yan family. It was just like how she used to be in the Yi family. Such a family would be so kind as to help Yan Xiao Yi choose a eldest young master of the Shi family? Although the Shi family wasn't considered a top-notch family in the Jianghu, it was still a powerful family. However, he still had some status in the Western continent. According to Yan Xiao Yi's life in the Yan family, Yan Xiao Yi marrying xuanhuan was a very good choice. But how could the Yan family be so kind? Moreover, according to Yan Xiao Yi's personality, how would she listen to her clan's orders and marry xuanhuan? I also inquired about one thing. Peach looked at Yiqing Luo hesitantly, not knowing if she should say it at this time. The more she hemmed and hawed. Xiao Jin, who was extremely concerned about Yan Xiao Yi's matters, became increasingly flustered. Quickly tell me what you found out. That fiancé. Actually, Xiao Yi knows of this person's existence. Peach stuttered. With every word he said, he carefully looked at their expressions. Xiao Jin's stiff body suddenly swayed. Long Yunzhan, who was at the side, immediately reached out to help. She knows. Xiao Jin's voice was extremely hoarse, and it faintly revealed a trace of self-ridicule. He laughed softly. She always knew that she had a fiancé, didn't she? That. But Xiao Yi doesn't take this fiancé seriously at all. She didn't agree to this marriage, but it seems like young master she really wants Xiao Yi. Chapter 1298. Peach stammered as she wanted to continue explaining. However, a hand rested on her shoulder and pressed down lightly. Peach turned her head and saw a pair of enchanting eyes with a hint of a sly smile. Stop talking. No matter if Xiao Yi treats young master Shi seriously or not, in young master Shi's eyes, Xiao Yi is his fiancé. Yiqing Luo stopped Peach's words. Her gaze calmly looked at Xiao Jin. Since he's Xiao Yi's fiancé, as Xiao Yi's companion, it's natural for us to stay here. Saying that, she smiled at the dazed Peach. Let's go take a look at Xiao Yi. Following that, she held Dmo Xian's arm with one hand and Peach's hand with the other as they walked out of the pill refining room and headed towards the direction of the courtyard. The furnishings here were exactly the same as Yan Xiao Yi's old residence. Yiqing Luo easily found Yan Xiao Yi's room. Before she entered the room, she saw Xuanhuan sitting on the wooden chair by the bed from the half-open door, looking at the person on the bed with a warm expression. His gaze was focused, gazing at the person on the bed, as though he was gazing at his most precious thing. After a long time, Xuanhuan's body leaned slightly towards the bed. His slender fingers touched Yan Xiao Yi's cheek. A trace of heartache surfaced in his eyes. Xiao Yi, the last time we met you said, if I continue to pester you, you will break my leg. Now that we've met, I even touched your cheek. I'll wait for you to get up, I'll wait for you to break my leg, all right? His voice was hoarse and one could hear the deep feelings in his tone. He felt heartache for Yan Xiao Yi. Heartache, very heartache. Peach, who was standing by the side, couldn't help but be moved when she heard that. This way it was indeed too easy to move one's heart. Qing Luo. If we really stay, what about Xiao Jin? She didn't want to admit Xuanhuan's good treatment of Yan Xiao Yi, but the moment she thought of Xiao Jin's deep feelings for Yan Xiao Yi, Peach couldn't help but feel heartache. Yiqing Luo's lips curled up slightly as she glanced sideways at the person who was following them and said softly, if this blockhead wants to be enlightened, other than relying on himself, there's nothing we can do. Isn't this an opportunity for him to properly understand his feelings towards Xiao Yi? Peach nodded as if she was suddenly enlightened. At this time, Xiao Jin and Long Yunzhan had already caught up. Seeing Yiqing Luo and the rest standing not too far away from the entrance, she followed their line of sight in puzzlement. Xuanhuan was holding Yan Xiao Yi's hand and bringing it to his lips. Xiao Jin's eyes quickly turned red, and a vicious aura burst forth from the bottom of his eyes. Almost instinctively, he strode into the room and grabbed Xuanhuan's shoulder with one hand. He shouted sternly, "What are you doing?" Xuanhuan was not prepared and was struck by Xiao Jin's palm. His shoulder felt a dull pain. His whole body fell onto the wooden chair. His handsome and gentle face contorted in pain. Jingzi. Yiqing Luo rushed into the room and stopped Xiao Jin's hand. Calm down. Young master, she has no ill intentions. Saying that, her fingers touched the profound phoenix ring and a pill appeared in her palm. She sent it to Xianxia and spoke apologetically. Recently, too many things have happened in the world group. Jianghu is more sensitive and has misunderstood you. I seek young master Shi's forgiveness. Xianxia shook his head as he pushed the pill back to Yiqing Luo's hand. Executive Xiao cares so much about the group members. I should be happy that Xiao Yi is in the world group. Chapter 1299. Xianxuan's words were humble and polite. No one could find any fault with them. But the meaning behind his words was, he was Yan Xiaoyi's fiancé. Yes. Xianxuan was announcing his relationship with Yan Xiaoyi. Moreover, it was a declaration that his relationship with Yan Xiaoyi was extremely loving. As expected, Xiao Jin's face completely darkened. Young master, she has suffered such a serious injury. Aren't there more than 20 doctors in the outer courtyard? Young master, she had better go and bandage the injury on your shoulder first. Yiqing Luo was worried that Xiao Jin would suddenly explode as she hurriedly interrupted Xianxuan's words. Her eyes were filled with guilt. She pulled Tao Zi to her side. Jin Zi and Tao Zi, accompany young master Shi to the outer courtyard to find a doctor. Don't let him fall ill. As he spoke, he pushed Xiao Jin, whose entire body was stiff and his muscles were taut, toward Xianxuan. This brother of mine doesn't know how to control his strength. I don't even know if that palm just now hurt the muscles and bones in your shoulder. Xianxuan looked at the livid Xiao Jin. He endured the pain in his shoulder and rubbed it. He smiled warmly and said, I'm fine, it's just a small injury. Before he could finish his words, Yiqing Luo's furious berating voice interrupted his words. Yiqing Luo's expression sunk as she stared at Xiao Jin. Jin Zi. Young master, she was the one who brought us, who were heavily injured and chased by our enemies back home. He's our benefactor. You've injured our benefactor. Why aren't you taking young master Shi to the outer court to bandage his wounds? Xiao Jin's expression was still livid, but his face was still tense as he looked toward Xianxuan. Xianxuan opened his mouth as he looked at Yiqing Luo and then at Xiao Jin. Tao Zi, who was standing by the side, took the initiative to pull Xianxuan's arm, while the other hand held Xiao Jin's hand as they walked and tried to ease the atmosphere. What Qing Luo said is right, that palm strike earlier is not light. We must let the doctor take a good look at it. Pulling and dragging, the three of them left the room. Yiqing Luo's gaze swept across the entire bedroom. The furnishings here were exactly the same as the furnishings in Yan Xiaoyi's bedroom in the old mansion. Evidently, in order to please Yan Xiaoyi, Xianxuan had built this luxurious mansion exactly like Yan Xiaoyi's old mansion according to her taste. After the trio's footsteps disappeared, Long Yunzhan's gaze fell onto Yiqing Luo. What did you discover? Yiqing Luo retracted her gaze from the surroundings as she slowly walked to the side of Yan Xiaoyi's bed, lowering her eyes as she gazed at the sleepy Yan Xiaoyi on the bed. Xiaoyi didn't fall asleep naturally. On her body, there are still remnants of the sleeping herb's scent. Yiqing Luo looked at the medicinal soup which had already cooled down. She picked up the medicinal soup and gently stirred it with a spoon. Soon after, she brought it to her nose and sniffed it. There's nothing wrong with this medicinal soup. However, there's the smell of medicinal herbs on Xiaoyi's body. This means that Xiaoyi has consumed sleeping herbs before. Long Yunzhan's expression froze. You mean? I have a guess. This was what Yiqing Luo had been guessing ever since she entered Yan Xiaoyi's room. She paused and her gaze collided with Dmo Xian. Dmo Xian caressed her fine black hair. There are no spies in the surroundings. Yiqing Luo was assured as she squinted her eyes and spoke calmly. Xianxuan brought us to the Shi family's mansion at this juncture. Although this is just a mansion in Three Springs City, but it still belongs to the Shi family. Chapter 1300. Just standing outside Yan Xiaoyi's room door, Yiqing Luo sensed something strange. But after smelling the sleeping herb on Yan Xiaoyi, Yiqing Luo felt strange. Xianxuan used a sleeping herb to make Xiaoyi fall into a deep sleep. His goal was to let us see how devoted and affectionate he was towards Xiaoyi. Initially, Yiqing Luo felt strange when she saw the half-open door. Especially when he saw that Xianxuan was the only one in the house, he felt even more strange. If Xianxuan specially came to feed Yan Xiaoyi medicine, he could totally close the door. Of course, if he was worried that a single man and woman would attract criticism, he could totally leave them alone. But Yan Xiaoyi's door was half open. It seemed to be half hidden. On the contrary, it seemed somewhat deliberate. He made Yan Xiaoyi fall into a deep sleep and specially let them hear his confession and deep feelings for Yan Xiaoyi. Yi Qingzhen had no other way and didn't want to think about it in another direction. This was the reason why Yiqing Luo specially sent Xiao Jin away. Otherwise, based on Xiao Jin's personality, he would definitely attack directly when he knew that Xuanhuan might be using Yan Xiaoyi. What is his motive for doing this? Long Yunzhan asked in a low voice. Yiqing Luo's charming eyes lifted up slightly as she met Long Yunzhan's eyes, as she said word by word, gain our trust, and from there cooperate with the World Mercenary Group. Or, he wants to use Xiao Yi to inquire about the whereabouts of the divine equipment. Shi Yiqing Luo, Three Spring Sect's young matriarch, the World Mercenary Group's vice group leader. The news of him possessing a divine artifact had spread throughout the entire Nirvana realm. There were millions of people who wanted to get their hands on the divine artifact. As long as there was a chance to snatch the god artifact from her hands, he would definitely grab it. Divine artifact. Yes, if he could get close to Yan Xiaoyi and gain their trust. It would be a piece of cake to take away the divine relic from Yiqing Luo. Compared to the goal of cooperating with the World Mercenary Group, they were more inclined to do it for the artifact. When the World Mercenary Group was established, they had upgraded the Mercenary Group to a bronze plate at the fastest speed possible. However, their subsequent development was far too slow compared to other mercenary groups. It had been almost 3 months. The number of members in the World Mercenary Group had not even broken through 100 people. Moreover, after completing those 2 extremely difficult missions, there were only 20 or so team members, and they would take on some small, normal-level quests every few days. It was impossible for Xuanhuan to go through so much trouble just to cooperate with World Connect. Of course, these are only my guesses. Don't tell Jinzi for now. Yiqing Luo took a look at Yan Xiaoyi, who was still in deep sleep. As for other matters, let nature take its course. She was referring to the matter between Xiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi. Once the brothers can get out of bed, we will leave this place. In the evening after dinner, Yiqing Luo let Zhao Bo and the rest go back to rest. Last night, no one had the chance to rest at all. Today he had been busy taking care of his injured brothers. He should be tired from being so tense. Yiqing Luo's room was arranged next to Yan Xiaoyi's. Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian had just walked into the courtyard when they heard a sharp voice shouting from outside, "You bunch of dog slaves! You even dare to stop me? Do you know who I am? Get out of my way." After that, a few crisp slapping sounds could be heard. Xuanhuan's expression instantly darkened. He frowned slightly and a tinge of helplessness appeared in his gentle eyes. Chapter 1301. Xuanhuan was startled. He waved his hands and said, "Miss Yi, please don't misunderstand. I don't have any relationship with that lady. If they weren't friends, why would they barge into his old residence and act so arrogantly, even whipping the servants who tried to stop them? No one would believe such a thing even if he said it." Yiqing Luo ridiculed in her heart but did not show it on her face. She only smiled and nodded at him, then pulled Dmo Xian towards her own room. The footsteps behind him had already reached the courtyard. When she saw Xuanhuan, the woman's furious voice could already be heard. "Xuanhuan, where is that little bitch? Young Miss Yan." After hearing the woman's words, Xuanhuan's expression darkened and he frowned slightly. "Isn't Miss Yan's action a little too unbecoming? Demeanor?" The woman sneered and pushed Xuanhuan's chest harshly. "You are a man, yet you brought my sister into your mansion. Even if the two of you are already engaged through the matchmaker's words, before you get married, a man and a woman staying in the same mansion alone, why don't you say it's unbecoming of you?" Xuanhuan was speechless at these words. His jade-like gentle eyes were filled with helplessness. It was as if he was already used to this woman's rude and unreasonable personality. Yiqing Luo felt that this lady's voice sounded rather familiar. And the fiancé who mentioned the matchmaker, wasn't that Yan Xiaoyi? Puzzled, she glanced sideways at the woman. Coincidentally, his gaze met the woman's. The young lady's gaze went past Xuanhuan, and when she saw Yiqing Luo who was walking into the house, her face instantly turned pale like a piece of paper. Yiqing Luo? Why are you here?" That woman was none other than a stranger. It was the eldest daughter of the Yan family, Yan Xiaoyi's elder sister from the same father and mother, Yan Zhenfei. When Yan Zhenfei saw that Yiqing Luo was also in the Shi family's mansion, she was completely stunned. Towards Yiqing Luo, she hated her from the bottom of her heart and feared her from the bottom of her heart. In the academy, even if it was Yiqing Jian who was the first to step into the earth profound stage, she was also forced to go missing by Yiqing Luo. Even Lu Shuiyu was defeated. She didn't dare to have any conflict with Yiqing Luo. Why was she so unlucky to meet Yiqing Luo, this god of plague? "Yo, isn't this student Yan?" Yiqing Luo retracted her footsteps into the house as her lips curled into a teasing smile. as she sized Yen Zhenfei up. "Student Yen, in this round of interclass competitions, you've suffered a series of defeats, and it seems that you've been eliminated in less than half an incense's time. I wonder if the Yen family will still love and pamper you like before?" Yen Zhenfei's face turned green and white. Yiqing Luo's words were simply stabbing a knife into her heart. Yen Zhenfei was extremely talented and the Yen family had high hopes for her. But this was a class confrontation. Yen Zhenfei's performance had completely shamed the Yen family. You. Yen Zhenfei was so angry that her face turned red, her chest rising and falling. After she returned from the competition, she was indeed reprimanded by the Yen family from beginning to end. Moreover, the Yen family's old grandmother even said that she would be sent to the Shijing sect to cultivate. The Ten Scenery sect was the largest sect in the Nirvana realm. The sect master was even Yiqing Jian's master. She had heard from Yiqing Jian that the Ten Scenery sect's disciples cultivated extremely hard, without any freedom at all. As compared to going to the Ten Scenery sect to cultivate, Yen Zhenfei wanted to stay in the academy more. At least in the academy it wouldn't be so tough. Moreover, her reputation in Heavenly Academy was much better than being a small disciple in Shijing sect. Chapter 1302. Yiqing Luo glanced at her with a smile that didn't look like a smile. That gaze, that smile. It was as if he was mocking her cheap pride. As though the pride that he was putting up had long been seen through by Yiqing Luo. Yen Zhenfei's face became redder and redder, mixed with a greenish-black color. "Whatever you do in the Yen family has nothing to do with me." Yiqing Luo's lips twitched as she turned around and walked towards the room beside her. Yen Zhenfei froze in place. She hated Yiqing Luo. But he also feared Yiqing Luo. At this moment she could only allow Yiqing Luo to humiliate her. She didn't dare to retort, nor did she dare to vent her anger on Yiqing Luo. He watched helplessly as Yiqing Luo walked into the room. Yen Zhenfei's fists were clenched tightly, her body trembling slightly. Xuanhuan, who was standing at the side, remained silent. His gaze moved back and forth between Yiqing Luo and Yen Zhenfei. Seeing that Yiqing Luo didn't stop at all as she dragged Diamo Xian back to the room, she smiled towards Yen Zhenfei. "Zhenfei, Xiaoyi has just taken her medicine and is preparing to rest. Let's go to the front hall." With that, he walked in front and led the way for Yen Zhenfei. But Yen Zhenfei did not move. Her gaze, from Yiqing Luo's room, looked towards the room next door. A hint of ruthlessness shot out from the bottom of her eyes. "That little slut is in this room?" Xuanhuan hurriedly walked to Yen Zhenfei's side and blocked her view. "Zhenfei, let me repeat it again. Xiaoyi is my fiancée and also your sister. If I hear you call me a slut again, don't blame me for disregarding the relationship between our two families." His voice was solemn and his face was devoid of its usual warmth. Yen Zhenfei was frightened by his gaze. She staggered a few steps back and bit her red lips. "Xuanhuan, is there something wrong with your eyes? How did you fall in love with that bitch?" Before he could finish his sentence. However, when she saw Xuanhuan's increasingly serious expression, she held back her words. "She's trash with a low mystic class. Trash who couldn't even break through to the Yellow Xian realm. What good can she do for you if you defend her?" Yen Zhenfei really did not understand. Why would Xuanhuan agree to this marriage? After seeing Yen Xiaoyi once, he couldn't forget her. If Yen Xiaoyi and Xuanhuan really got married, the Shi family became Yen Xiaoyi's backing. Then it wouldn't be so easy for her to deal with Yen Xiaoyi in future. It might also affect her position in the Yen family. No matter what, she would never let Yen Xiaoyi and Xuanhuan get married. He would definitely not allow Yen Xiaoyi to have a single good day. "I love her. I don't need any benefits." Xuanhuan's voice was deep and his gaze became gentle. His gaze slowly landed on Yen Xiaoyi's room. "No matter if she's a low-level mystic trash or a trash that can't cultivate, I love her. This alone is enough for me to treat her well." Yen Zhenfei's fingers trembled in anger. Well, ever since Yen Xiaoyi was born, she was an abandoned chess piece that everyone despised. Her existence was a mistake. Everyone in the world should loathe her and abandon her. What love? That kind of slut didn't deserve love. Yen Zhenfei clenched her fists and charged towards Yen Xiaoyi's room. With a bam, Yen Zhenfei kicked the door open. Xuanhuan reacted and quickly followed to stop her. Yen Zhenfei charged into the room and saw a woman sitting against the bed with a mocking smile, looking at her coldly. That gaze was as cold as ice. Chapter 1303. Yan Zhenfei pointed at the girl on the bed and felt an inexplicable sense of guilt. The person on the bed had a pale face and looked sickly. A head of hair that looked like seaweed spread over her shoulders, adding a hint of weakness to the exquisite and beautiful girl. If she ignored that cold gaze, Yan Zhenfei would probably be stunned by this exquisite face. Was this still her good-for-nothing sister? In her memory, Yan Xiaoyi was lifeless and disheveled all day long, looking like a crazy woman. She still remembered that as long as she got close to Yan Xiaoyi, it was as if she felt the arrival of the god of death. Everyone in the Yan family was disgusted by his lifeless demeanor. But the girl in front of her now was even more stunning than her. How could this be her sister? Miss Yan, how have you been? Yan Xiaoyi's cold voice rang out in the room. Yan Zhenfei felt an inexplicable sense of fear. You are Yan Xiaoyi? How could you be Yan Xiaoyi? Yan Xiaoyi curled her lips and narrowed her mocking eyes. What does who I have to do with Miss Yan? Before Yan Zhenfei could speak, Xuanhuan forcefully grabbed her arm and pulled her back. Xiaoyi is not feeling well and needs to rest. Go out first. The girl in front of her was really Yan Xiaoyi. She was Yan Xiaoyi. Yan Zhenfei's eyes glowed. Her gaze was fixated on Yan Xiaoyi without blinking. Suddenly, she broke free from Xuanhuan's hand with an unknown strength. A gust of profound qi broke out of her body and gathered on her palms. Her eyes were bloodshot and filled with hatred and resentment. She slammed her palm at Yan Xiaoyi. Little slut. Yan Xiaoyi, who had disappeared for 3 years, had really returned. And she had returned with a brand new appearance. If not for the fact that the commoners outside were discussing, Xuanhuan would have brought his fiancée and his fiancée's companions into his residence. She probably did not know about this. She definitely could not let Yan Xiaoyi return to the Yan family. Especially at this time, her father and mother were blaming her for her poor performance in the interclass competition. She couldn't let Yan Xiaoyi steal her position. The Yan family only needed one daughter and that was enough. Yan Zhenfei. Xuanhuan shouted. He didn't expect Yan Zhenfei to attack just like that. Just as he was about to release his xianxia to stop Yan Zhenfei's palm, he caught a glimpse of a red figure outside the door. In the next instant, his body rushed in front of Yan Xiaoyi, opened his arms and suddenly hugged Yan Xiaoyi. Bang! A palm landed heavily on Xuanhuan's back. Xuanhuan grunted and spat out a mouthful of blood. The intense pain made him furrow his brows tightly. Xuanhuan. Young Master Xi, Yan Zhenfei's terrified voice sounded. Immediately following that was Yiqing Luo's astonished voice. The ones who walked into the room were not only Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian, but also Long Yunzhan and Xiao Jin. The few of them had just entered the room when they saw Xuanhuan hugging Yan Xiaoyi tightly and blocking that palm for her. Yan Xiaoyi, who was being hugged tightly, was astonished. This scene was indeed shocking. Xuanhuan actually took the initiative to block Yan Zhenfei's palm for Yan Xiaoyi. Even Yiqing Luo couldn't help but frown slightly, not sure of the guess in her heart. Could it be? Chapter 1304. I didn't do it on purpose. Yan Zhenfei was frightened by this scene. She trembled and retreated. The person I wanted to hit was that slut. You suddenly charged at me, it had nothing to do with me. If the Yan clan found out that she had injured Xuanhuan, the consequences were unthinkable. She would definitely be forcefully sent to the Shijing sect by her grandmother. Pa! The crisp sound of a slap resounded throughout the room. Yan Zhenfei felt a burning pain on her face and a metallic taste in her throat. A trace of blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. The next moment she was pushed against the corner of the wall. A cold blade was pressed against her face. Student Yan, if I hear another word that insults my companion from your mouth, I'll make you speechless for the rest of your life. Yiqing Luo's icy cold voice sounded like an Azura from hell. Her hand moved a little. The sharp blade cut Yan Zhenfei's neck. This is outside the courtyard. If one is not careful, then it can only be treated as an accident, don't you think? Right? Yiqing Luo finished smiling. But Zhenfei didn't see any hint of a smile from Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes. You dare? Yan Zhenfei's voice quivered as she stared at Yiqing Luo in terror. After digesting what Yiqing Luo said earlier, her expression congealed. What did you say? She's your companion? Yan Xiaoyi was Yiqing Luo's companion? Could it be that Yan Xiaoyi was also a member of the World Mercenary Group? A member of the World Mercenary Group? What did this mean? That meant Yan Xiaoyi was no longer a wastrel. She had also heard of the World Mercenary Group's matters. But didn't the rumors say that The members of the World Mercenary Group were all disciples of the Emperor Palace? That was why they were able to complete high-level missions that even a gold medal mercenary group might not be able to complete. Was that why he was invincible and became a legend in the mercenary world? How could Yan Xiaoyi have the qualifications to enter the World Mercenary Group? Yiqing Luo could tell what Yan Zhenfei was thinking about with just one look. She curled her lips and looked into Yan Zhenfei's eyes, saying word by word, "She is my Devil Class's class committee president, and also the executive group leader of the World Mercenary Group, so of course she is my companion." Devil Class, executive leader? Yan Zhenfei was dumbfounded. She stared at Yan Xiaoyi in disbelief, unable to believe what she had just heard. How could this be? How could Yan Xiaoyi be a student of the Devil Class? How could she possibly join the World Mercenary Group? And he's the executive leader of the World Mercenary Group? Executive leader? That was a position second only to the deputy leader. To be able to hold such a high position in the World Mercenary Group, it meant that Yan Xiaoyi's ability was sufficient to lead a mercenary group. No, impossible. She's trash that can't even break through to the Yellow Mystic Realm. Yan Zhenfei's heart was filled with fear as she muttered and shook her head. Muttering softly, Yan Zhenfei's mind suddenly cleared. An image appeared in his mind, in the Heavenly Academy's Heavenly Training Forest. He had once encountered an intruder. She still remembered that at that time, there was a ghostly voice that kept chasing after her. That voice kept telling her, "Your opponent is me." At that time she felt that the voice was extremely familiar. It was extremely similar to Yan Xiaoyi's voice. However, his swift and fierce movements had dispelled her conjecture. But now, she was not entirely sure. Chapter 1305. Piak. Another slap landed on Yan Zhenfei's face. That was a slap without any profound energy at all. It was entirely her own strength, slapping Yan Zhenfei's face. Yan Zhenfei's cheeks were swollen from the slap. Yan Zhenfei cried out in pain as tears streamed down her face. "I've said this before, don't insult my companion." Yiqing Luo's voice was exceptionally cold. That squinted eyes were filled with an eerie chill. Yan Zhenfei held her cheeks as she bit her lower lip. No matter how much resentment and hatred she had in her heart, she didn't dare to show it on her face. "Qing Luo." Yan Xiaoyi, who was lying on the bed, suddenly called out Yiqing Luo's name. Yiqing Luo glanced over. Hearing Yan Xiaoyi's voice, Yan Zhenfei suddenly regained her senses. She looked at Yan Xiaoyi in terror, and in a few steps she rushed to Yan Xiaoyi's bedside. In this situation the few of them didn't stop her. Under their eyelids, no matter what Yan Zhenfei thought of, she wouldn't be able to gain any advantage. "Sister." Yan Zhenfei rushed to the bedside, anxiously trying to hold Yan Xiaoyi's hand. Yan Xiaoyi avoided her hand in disgust. Yan Zhenfei missed and could only grab the blanket on Yan Xiaoyi. "Sister, I'm your biological sister from the same father and mother. You won't let them hurt your biological sister, right?" Her voice trembled uncontrollably. As she said that, tears welled up in her eyes. That pitiful look made one feel pity for her. But the few of them present didn't have any good impression of Yan Zhenfei. Yan Zhenfei's look in their eyes was just a joke. Yiqing Luo leaned into Dimo Xian's arms as she crossed her arms, staring at them without blinking. At this moment they couldn't interfere. After all, this was Yan Xiaoyi's personal matter. If Yan Xiaoyi wished for them to let Yan Zhenfei off, she didn't have any objections. The entire room was terrifyingly strange. Only Yan Zhenfei's sobbing could be heard. Yan Zhenfei's heart became emptier and emptier. "We have the same blood in our veins, we are sisters. As long as you say it, they will let me go." Yan Zhenfei was extremely vexed. Why didn't she investigate anything today and just rush to the Shi family's other residence? She found out from the commoners that there was a huge fire that destroyed the World Mercenary Group. Xuanhuan brought his fiancée back to his residence. When he heard the word fiancé, Yan Zhenfei threw the fire and the World Mercenary Group to the back of her mind. All he could think about was, Xuanhuan's fiancé? The cowardly and incompetent bitch Yan Xiaoyi who disappeared for 3 years? He immediately rushed to the residence of the Shi family. If he had linked Yan Xiaoyi and the World Mercenary Group together, she would not be so submissive now. And even sought help from that slut, Yan Xiaoyi. Yan Zhenfei suppressed her displeasure and disdain for Yan Xiaoyi. In a soft voice she continued to plead, "Sister, my good sister, when I return to the Yan family, I will let father and mother come and fetch you personally, okay?" Yan Xiaoyi looked at Yan Zhenfei with a smile which didn't look like a smile, as her lips curled into a sneer of ridicule. Sister? Eldest young Miss Yan, I'm afraid you've got the wrong person. Earlier I heard everything clearly when I was in the room. Didn't you say that you're the only eldest young miss in the Yan family? Yan Xiaoyi interrupted her words as her brows rose with a smile which didn't look like a smile. Chapter 1306. In his memory, Yan Xiaoyi had been neglected since she was young. To Yan Xiaoyi the most important thing was feelings. As long as he gave Yan Xiaoyi a little bit of hope, Yan Xiaoyi would be willing to sacrifice her life for him. Yan Zhenfei thought that she had used kinship in the name of her parents to pressure and deceive Yan Xiaoyi. Yan Xiaoyi would definitely beg Yiqing Luo to let her off for the sake of kinship, as long as she got out of here alive. At that time, he would think of a way to deal with Yan Xiaoyi. But, who would have expected this? Yan Xiaoyi's transformation was so huge. No matter what was said, Yan Xiaoyi still had a cynical and sarcastic look on her face from beginning to end. Yan Zhenfei's expression darkened. It was already her limit to be so submissive to the slut that she had always looked down on. If Yan Xiaoyi still refused to give face, how expensive? Xuanhuan, who had been sitting paralyzed on the wooden chair, spoke in an extremely weak voice after a long silence. The wound on his shoulder had already split open. Just now he had also suffered a palm from Yan Zhenfei. At this moment he looked extremely weak. He called Yan Zhenfei's name softly. Xiao Yi is my fiancée and will be the Shi family's madam in the future. As the Yan family's eldest daughter, please watch your words and actions. Pausing for a moment, the corners of his mouth curled into a smile. For Xiao Yi's sake, I won't tell the Yan clan about what happened today. When Xuanhuan said that he would keep it a secret, Yan Zhenfei's heart was finally at ease. No matter what, she couldn't be sent to the 10 Scenery sect. Seeing Yan Zhenfei shut her mouth, Xuanhuan then turned his gaze towards Yiqing Luo as he gave a weak smile. Miss Yi Zhenfei doesn't have any ill intentions. I think I just want to see my sister whom I haven't seen for a long time. If it's possible, can you let her go? Yiqing Luo did not reply. She looked at Yan Xiaoyi. This is your house, if you want her to leave then let her leave, why are you asking my Qing Luo for? Yan Xiaoyi frowned as she spoke in an unfriendly tone. Xuanhuan smiled helplessly. He seemed to be used to Yan Xiaoyi's attitude towards him. He looked at Yan Xiaoyi gently. The tenderness in his eyes could not be concealed at all. Xuanhuan's fiery gaze caused Yan Xiaoyi to frown. She subconsciously looked at Qiao Jin, who had not said a word since he entered the room. Qiao Jin's gaze fell on her. His face was gloomy, and a storm seemed to be brewing in his eyes. They had been partners for so long. Yan Xiaoyi could tell with one look that all the muscles in Qiao Jin's body were tensed up. That was a sign that he was angry. Every time Qiao Jin was enraged, his body would tense up. Is he angry? Was he angry because of her relationship with Xuanhuan? In other words, was Qiao Jin jealous? This thought caused Yan Xiaoyi's heart to beat faster. However, this feeling of heartbeat did not last for long. Qiao Jin had already shifted his gaze away, turning around to leave the room. His steps were extremely heavy, and he was suppressing his extreme anger. Jin Zi. Yiqing Luo turned her head to look at Qiao Jin who had already walked far away, and took a look at Yan Xiaoyi, feeling somewhat speechless towards Qiao Jin. At this moment, shouldn't he express his concern for Yan Xiaoyi? At least in front of Xuanhuan, he had to stabilize his position. Why did he just turn around and leave without saying a word? Even if he wanted to act cool, this wasn't the way to do it, all right? Qiao Jin, you really don't want a wife anymore? Yiqing Luo's inner heart was about to collapse. Why did she have a déjà vu feeling that the emperor wasn't anxious, but the eunuch was anxious? The atmosphere froze. Yan Zhenfei saw that no one's attention was placed on her. Chapter 1307. Yiqing Luo and the others saw with their own eyes. Yan Zhenfei thought that no one had discovered her as she slipped away silently. He didn't try to stop them. After all, this was Xishanglan's residence. Yiqing Luo and the others were staying here temporarily because their old residence was burnt down. Of course, he wouldn't do something as stupid as killing Yan Zhenfei in Xishanglan's territory. Furthermore, Xishanglan had already spoken up for Yan Zhenfei. If they still didn't give up, wouldn't that be slapping Xishanglan's face? Xiaoyi, you've just drunk your medicine. Have a good rest first. We'll talk about other things tomorrow. Xishanglan smiled warmly at Yan Xiaoyi. Because of Qiao Jin's inexplicable departure, Yan Xiaoyi's heart was uneasy. Hearing Xianxia's words, he only responded indifferently. The smile on Xianxia's face dimmed. But soon a warm smile appeared on his face. Her jade-like eyes were filled with tenderness. I'll help you lie down. Don't think too much. Even if the Yan family's patriarch and madam really come, I won't let them take you back. He endured the wounds on his body, walked over and gently helped Yan Xiaoyi up. Yan Xiaoyi's brows creased even tighter as she stared at his shoulder, which was already soaked in blood, as she said coldly, "Take care of yourself first. I have Qing Luo to take care of, so I don't need your concern." This man, he was clearly injured. Why did he have to use his own body to block Yan Zhenfei's palm for her? With his strength. As long as he used his xianxia, he would be able to resist it easily. "Xiaoyi, are you worried about me?" Xianxia's eyes lit up and the corners of his mouth curled into a smile that was as warm as spring. He was overjoyed at this moment. Even Qing Luo was unable to see through any disguise. It was like joy that came from the bottom of his heart. Because of Yan Xiaoyi's concern for him. Xianxia felt extremely flattered. Even his words seemed to be stammering due to his agitation. Don't worry about me. This small injury is nothing. Rest well. I'll be fine when I see you recover. Yan Xiaoyi's frown deepened. She was worried about Xianxia. After all, Xianxia was injured because of her. However, it was obvious that Xianxia had misunderstood her. He wanted to explain, but he didn't know where to start. Yan Xiaoyi simply turned her face away, too lazy to bother with him anymore. However, this was enough to make Xianxia extremely excited. He helped Yan Xiaoyi to sleep and tucked her into bed. Only then did he turn around to leave. His gaze fell on the few people behind him who were staring at them in a daze. A faint blush appeared on that gentle jade-like face. It was as if he had just realized that they were still in the room. He apologized with some embarrassment. I'm sorry. I've made a fool of myself in front of you. I don't think it's a joke." Qing Luo gave an elegant smile. On the contrary, it allowed us to see young Master Shi's deep feelings towards Xiao Yi. Xianxia's face turned redder. "She is my fiancée." Qing Luo gave a meaningful smile. Following that, she pulled Dmo Xian along and prepared to leave. "The medicinal effect is about to take effect. Let Xiaoyi rest quietly. We've been busy the whole day and we're all tired." His gaze went past Xianxia and looked at Yan Xiaoyi, whose back was facing them. The few of them exchanged some pleasantries and left Yan Xiaoyi's room together. After Xianxia left the courtyard, Qing Luo's figure once again appeared outside Yan Xiaoyi's door. She didn't enter the room. She only raised her eyes and fixed her gaze on a certain spot in the dark night. In the dark night, her voice sounded a little chilly. "How long are we going to hide there?" The wind blew and it was quiet. Responding to Qing Luo. Chapter 1308. Qing Luo raised her brows as her lips curled up in ridicule. "Not willing to come out? Do you feel ashamed to face Xiao Yi, or are you deeply aware that you are inferior to young Master Shi?" In the dark, rustling sounds could be heard, appearing somewhat messy. After some time, a figure steadily landed in front of Qing Luo. His dark and gloomy face almost merged with the night. "That's enough. You're already ugly enough. Don't keep a straight face." Qing Luo rolled her eyes. "Look at young Master Shi, that fair complexion, those long legs. If we were to really compare, this point has already won you completely. With that pretty face of his, he wants to completely defeat me? Wait till I reveal." Xiao Jin's voice paused. That unprepossessing face had a complicated expression. His tone changed and his voice deepened. "What are you trying to say? Let's talk inside." Qing Luo finished her sentence and stepped into the room next door. Xiao Jin hesitated for a moment but still followed. Candlelight flickered in the room. Dmo Xian sat by the side sipping his tea. Qing Luo had just walked over when she was grabbed by one hand and forcefully pulled into his arms. Long used to Dmo Xian's sudden display of affection, Qing Luo couldn't be bothered to struggle. She just sat on Dmo Xian's lap and looked at Xiao Jin lazily. After being agitated by Xianxia, "You don't even want your wife anymore?" "What wife? Xiao Yi and I don't have that kind of relationship." Xiao Jin's brows were tightly knitted together, his face under the candlelight was livid. Qing Luo thought, what if she wasn't the one asking this question? Xiao Jin would probably use his fist to answer this question. "Why are you still trying to be secretive in front of your brother?" Qing Luo rolled her eyes at him. "Do you know what is the reason why you lost to Xianxia?" Xiao Jin was silent. He seemed to be unable to answer. He seemed to be waiting for her answer. Yiqing Luo sighed helplessly and pointed at the man who was hugging her. Do you see that the overlord who was worshipped as a deity in the nirvana realm is now with me? Have I ever hidden such an honorable identity from you? Has he ever denied our relationship? Yiqing Luo knew that for matters of the heart, she could only rely on herself to resolve it clearly. But according to Qiao Jin's character, even if he was given another 100 years, this blockhead of his probably couldn't even wrap his head around it. What a woman wants the most isn't for you to silently pay for her, but for you to let her see your feelings for her. Yiqing Luo lowered her voice and said word by word, a woman's heart is very easy to let her imagination run wild. If you are unable to let her feel your love for her, then she will fall into a lot of wild imagination. In the end, in those thoughts she is sure that you have no feelings for her. Just like what happened in the room earlier. You were clearly jealous, but you pretended to be cool and left. Not only did your actions hurt Xiao Yi, it also caused her to misunderstand you. Just like earlier, you were hiding on the tree beside Xiao Yi, secretly protecting her. But Xiao Yi doesn't know about any of this. Instead, she might think that she's being monitored. Your sacrifice is meaningless. Since he liked her, he should say it openly. After conveying his intentions, even if he was rejected, he wouldn't regret it in the future. What have you sacrificed for love? Just say it openly. At the very least, she knew what you had done for love. What's silently sacrificing for your lover, seeing her happiness, it was all bullshit. From Yiqing Luo's point of view, this was simply his cowardice. Anyway, if she were to watch Dmo Xian silently from afar, silently sacrificing for him, she absolutely couldn't do it. Say that she was selfish or only loved herself. To her, if there was no reciprocation of feelings, even if she really fell in love, she wouldn't hesitate to pull away. She still had a lot of things to do. Love wouldn't be her everything. One day, time would slowly wear away this relationship. Chapter 1309. Qiao Jin's eyes widened as he stared blankly at Yiqing Luo, as though he had not expected Yiqing Luo to say such words. Jinzi, I'm only saying this to you because we're friends. Yiqing Luo's gaze was solemn and her tone was solemn. If you really like Xiao Yi, at least convey this feeling to her. Even if she doesn't agree to it, she will absolutely not cut off all ties with you because of this. Qiao Jin's hand, which was hanging by his side, clenched into a fist. The candle flame swayed as it reflected the complicated emotions on his face. You don't know anything at all. Xiao Yi and I are not you and the Overlord. We are not you. Yiqing Luo's words were like needles stabbing into Qiao Jin's heart. Qiao Jin was clear that what Yiqing Luo said made sense. But that gloomy feeling in his heart made him extremely uncomfortable. He also wanted to tell Yan Xiaoyi about his feelings. He wasn't willing to see Yan Xiaoyi being snatched away by other men. But Yan Xiaoyi didn't like him. He had used a strong attitude to treat her time and time again. And he had forcefully pushed her time and time again. Yan Xiaoyi didn't kill him was already on account of their many years of brotherhood. He told this feeling to Yan Xiaoyi. Yan Xiaoyi would definitely avoid him. Yes, you are not me and Xian. Yiqing Luo's voice turned cold, because we are braver than you. Xian likes me and he told me directly. Even if I don't like him, I believe that Xian will use his own methods to make me sink in. I like Xian, so I'm willing to be with him. Even if he really doesn't like me, I will also use my own methods to make him submit to my charm. Yiqing Luo's lips curled as her palm touched Dmo Xian's cheek. She should be glad that it was because of his and her bravery. They didn't have so many twists and turns. To be able to love each other was hard to come by. So this kind of relationship, they treasured it very much. Qiao Jin turned silent. The room was silent. So quiet that one could only hear the three of them breathing. After a long time, Yiqing Luo then sighed faintly as her tone contained some helplessness. Jinzi, you being like this. As a man, I feel very embarrassed. If that's the case, I feel that xuanhuan, who is always willing to express his feelings for Xiao Yi, might be more suitable for Xiao Yi. Qiao Jin's gaze darkened. The light from the fire made his eyes red. Qiao Jin was enraged. He tensed his muscles and stood up. He walked towards the door without looking back. Jinzi. Yiqing Luo also stood up immediately as her charming eyes gazed at his back view without blinking. The way you are now to Xiao Yi is actually a kind of harm. The man who was walking to the door stopped in his tracks. His stiff body was still tense. Inexplicably angry, inexplicably gentle, inexplicably turning around and leaving. Yi Qing Luo and Xiao Jin's attitude towards Yan Xiaoyi during this period of time was spilled out word by word. Xiaoyi isn't a roundworm in your stomach. She's unable to guess what your inexplicable actions are for. Instead, it will make her sink into uneasiness, sinking into an inexplicable guess of your emotions. To her, isn't this a form of harm? Xiao Jin's tensed body turned even stiffer. He wanted to take a step to leave, but he couldn't move at all. After some time he shut his eyes. His back faced Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo couldn't see his expression. She could only hear the desolation in his tone, as well as a helpless sigh. Have already given up. His voice was hoarse, revealing a hint of choking. Chapter 13:10. Yi Qing Luo was slightly stunned as her slender brows creased tightly. What do you mean? When I saw Xuanhuan use his body to block Yan Zhenfei's palm for Xiaoyi, Xiao Jin's tightly shut eyes felt a little sour. That scene kept replaying in his mind. If he didn't really love Yan Xiaoyi, why would Xuanhuan disregard his own body and forcefully block that palm? Because of that palm strike, so you want to give up? Yi Qing Luo's voice was extremely calm. It's not just because of that palm strike. I can see that Xuanhuan treats Xiaoyi really well. If Xiaoyi is with him, she will definitely be happier. Xiao Jin laughed. However, his laughter was unable to conceal his sorrow. Xiaoyi did not seem to hate Xuanhuan. The Yin family was also extremely satisfied with Xuanhuan as their son-in-law. If he forcefully interfered in Xiaoyi's life, it was completely destroying Xiaoyi's current happiness. He couldn't be that selfish. Yi Qing Luo looked at his back as her voice grew calmer. Then give up. Xiao Jin's attitude was very clear. Even if she continued to persuade him, it would be useless. If this was what Xiao Jin wanted, then it would be best for him to give up. As long as he doesn't regret it in the future. Xiao Jin gave an indifferent "N" before walking out of the room. This time Yi Qing Luo didn't stop him. The room fell into silence once again. Behind her, a pair of strong arms circled around her waist. A scorching hot chest pressed against her back. The elegant scent of sandalwood seeped into his nose. The vexation in her heart gradually dissipated under the man's elegant aura. This is the path he chose, you don't have to feel guilty. The man's low and hoarse voice sounded in her ears. Yi Qing Luo turned around and her little hand circled around his waist. She obediently leaned her head against his chest. That Xuanhuan. I'm still worried. I've already asked Wen to investigate. Dmo Xian's eyes congealed. He had the same thinking as Yi Qing Luo. They were all suspicious of Xuanhuan's motives. Even though she saw Xuanhuan's deep feelings for Yan Xiaoyi, he personally saw Xuanhuan disregard everything for Yan Xiaoyi. However, they still felt that Xuanhuan was not as simple as he seemed. After all, it was for the divine artifact. Or did he have other motives? Or was it really for Yan Xiaoyi? All of this. When Ah Feng brought back the information from the investigation, there would be an answer. Xian, thank you. Yi Qing Luo raised her charming eyes as she gazed deeply at him, her little hand caressing his face. Luckily, we're not as silly as Jinzi and Xiaoyi. Looking at them, the more I feel that my bravery back then was right. Dmo Xian closed her hand on his cheek, his shimmering peach blossom eyes overflowed with warmth. I should be glad to have met you. Yi Qing Luo tiptoed, stretched out her hand and hooked his neck, kissing his thin lips. That was right. Fortunately, their relationship could be smooth sailing. I hope they can keep walking like this. The next day, Yi Qing Luo had just stood up when Dmo Xian's figure was no longer beside her. The toiletries were already prepared at the side. After washing up, Yi Qing Luo walked out of the room. The sky was already bright. There were already a few maids in the courtyard. When they saw Yi Qing Luo, they greeted her politely, Miss Yi. Yi Qing Luo nodded as she saw Yan Xiaoyi's room door open. When he arrived at the door, he saw Xuanhuan sitting by the bed and feeding medicine to Yan Xiaoyi. Chapter 13:11. Yi Qing Luo restrained the expression in her eyes as she smiled and walked into the room. Xiaoyi, are you feeling better? Yan Xiaoyi was frowning as she unwillingly drank the medicine from the spoon in Xuanhuan's hand. Seeing Yi Qing Luo enter, her face revealed a sliver of embarrassment as she turned her face away and rejected the medicine which Xuanhuan passed to her lips. Xuanhuan was an intelligent person. He knew when to stop. He immediately placed the medicine bowl aside and smiled warmly. Miss Yi, I'll go check if the other's medicine is ready. I'll have to trouble you to take care of Xiaoyi. Yi Qing Luo nodded as she walked over. Xuanhuan stood up and spoke warmly to Xianxia. The doctor will take a look at your wounds later to see if there's any improvement. Drink the medicine and rest for a while. Xianxia didn't reply. Xuanhuan was used to her attitude. He bid farewell to Yiqing Luo in a cultured and elegant manner as he got up and walked out of the room. Yiqing Luo took over Xuanhuan's action as she took the medicine bowl and sat by the side. After drinking a spoonful of medicine, the medicinal taste was extremely bitter, so bitter that Xianxia's brows knitted into a bundle. Do you want to leave Xi family's residence? Yiqing Luo diverted Xianxia's attention as she asked calmly. Indeed, Xianxia's expression congealed. The bitterness on her face slowly disappeared. A pair of beautiful eyes looked at Yiqing Luo in puzzlement, as though she didn't understand the meaning in her words. You don't like Xuanhuan, right? Yiqing Luo scooped up the second spoonful and sent it to Xianxia's lips. Xianxia swallowed it and replied, How could I have any feelings for him? I totally don't care about that engagement. Engagement was simply a joke. She had been missing from the Yan family for 3 years. 3 years not stepping into that place. But 2 months ago he had inexplicably arranged a fiancé for her. What did Yan family treat her as? They didn't even remember her existence for 3 years. When they said they were engaged, they meant it. If she didn't agree, Yan family could forget about forcing her. You two should have met before. Yiqing Luo had heard that ever since Xianxia bought that old residence, she hadn't had any interaction with Yan family for the past 3 years. To the Yan family, Xianxia had long been treated as a dead person. How could a fiancé suddenly appear? Furthermore, he was acting so deeply in love with her. It was impossible that they hadn't met before. This was the reason why Yiqing Luo was especially suspicious of Xuanhuan. This residence was a complete copy of the style of the old residence that Xianxia had bought. It was obviously to please Xianxia. How did Xuanhuan know that the old residence belonged to Xianxia? Yes. Xianxia didn't hide anything. We've met a long time ago. It can be considered as a friendship of life and death. The story of Xianxia and Xuanhuan was very simple. When they were 10 and 7 years old respectively, they were kidnapped by a gang of bandits who had fainted from hunger. The Yan family didn't take Xianxia seriously at all. When Xianxia was kidnapped, the Yan family didn't respond at all. Xianxia had never thought that the Yan family would be willing to fork out money to redeem her. Naturally, it was to find a way to escape from the thieves' lair. She didn't expect Xuanhuan to escape with her. Xianxia didn't want to bring along this burden but discovered that the 10-year-old Xuanhuan's profound grade had already reached yellow profound 3rd grade. Thinking that she could have a bodyguard by her side, she brought him along. Therefore the 2 little children tried their best. The process was extremely arduous and painful. The 2 of them almost died under those bandits. Chapter 13:12. After that, there was no contact? This story was indeed melodramatic. Which meant? Xuanhuan really liked Xianxia? Just because the 2 of them had experienced life and death together when they were young? After that, I only saw him once and that was 2 months ago. Xianxia said as she finished the medicine. After escaping, she and Xuanhuan had no contact. Yan family didn't care about Xianxia. But Xuanhuan was different. Xuanhuan was the eldest young master of Xi family and the future master of Xi family. Xi family sent out numerous top exponents to rescue him. In the process of escaping, Xi family rushed over and brought Xuanhuan away. As for her, because she had done the dangerous thing of bringing Xuanhuan away from the thieves' lair, she was almost dismembered. Xuanhuan begged his father to spare her life and send her back to Yan family. But when she was sent back to Yan family, he didn't forget to reprimand Xianxia in front of Yan family's patriarch. During that period of time, Xianxia's life wasn't easy. There were several times when she almost died under the Yan family's beatings. Hence, toward Xi family, Xianxia didn't have any good impression. Later on, she had enough ability to protect herself. She earned enough money to purchase the old residence in 3 Springs City West Street. From then on, she stayed in the old residence. And 2 months ago, Xuanhuan went to the old residence to look for her, and explained that they had already set the engagement. Xianxia directly threw Xuanhuan out. After that, it was this meeting. Yiqing Luo's expression sunk slightly when she heard that, which means, till today you've only met twice? Xianxia nodded. Twice. Once 10 years old. Once 20 years old. With a gap of 10 years, the 2 families had set the engagement? and even made his own residence look the same as Yan Xiaoyi's old residence? Which meant Xuanhuan had actually been silently observing Yan Xiaoyi? Cough. Why did Yiqing Luo feel that this had the feeling of an idiot? But after hearing this story, Yiqing Luo also started to suspect if her guess towards Xuanhuan was too malicious. After all, the goals that Shi and Long Yunzhan had guessed became a joke after combining with this story. Because Shi and Yan Xiaoyi had only known each other for less than half a year. The World Mercenary Group had been established for about 3 months. If Xuanhuan was here for the divine weapon or for some other purpose, the time did not match with the style of this residence's decoration. Qing Luo. Yan Xiaoyi leaned towards the head of the bed and suddenly called out softly. Yiqing Luo raised her eyes and looked at her in puzzlement. Yan Xiaoyi's gaze was unfocused as she stared ahead. The expression on her face faintly revealed a trace of desolation. You tell me, what is the feeling of truly liking someone? Yiqing Luo was stunned as she reacted. You want to ask about Jinzi, right? Yan Xiaoyi's gaze suddenly trembled as it fixed onto Yiqing Luo. If it's Jinzi or Xuanhuan, who will you choose? Yiqing Luo asked with a smile. Yan Xiaoyi choked on the question. What kind of choice is this? It's not like the two of them. Don't both like me? When she said the last few words, her voice lowered by quite a bit. If one didn't listen carefully, it was almost inaudible. It wasn't like both didn't like her. She was referring to Qiao Jin. These two people. They obviously liked each other, but they weren't willing to make it clear. This resulted in both of them doubting each other and not liking each other. Thinking of last night, Qiao Jin's choking voice and his desolate back view, Yiqing Luo felt a burst of melancholy. Chapter 13:13. It wasn't that Yiqing Luo didn't want to give them a hand, but recalling what Dmo Xian said to her before she fell asleep last night. Finally she suppressed this urge. Dmo Xian said that Qiao Jin must have his own difficulties for making such a choice. Qiao Jin wasn't a timid person. Since he had chosen to give up on Yan Xiaoyi, then she would respect his choice. After all, that was their own lives. No matter how good Yiqing Luo's relationship with them was, she couldn't interfere with the lives they had chosen. How are the rest of the brothers? Did Ghost Doctor say when we can get down from the bed? Yan Xiaoyi saw the atmosphere in the room stiffening and she didn't want to continue with the topic, which made her heart ache, disturbing her mood, so she changed the topic. Yiqing Luo replied, You're the one who suffered the most serious injury among the brothers. So you should be relieved? Yan Xiaoyi couldn't help but laughed and gave a dry cough. She was the one who suffered the most serious injury, which meant the rest of the brothers were all fine. Her heart, which was hanging in the air, was finally able to settle down. As for the time to get down from the bed, the other brothers need at least half a month. Yiqing Luo raised her brows. As for you, I'm afraid it will take a month. Yan Xiaoyi's smile froze as her expression changed. Then what about the 1-month training in Class of God? If they were to go to Class of God, they definitely couldn't let the other students go. In the interclass competition, Yiqing Luo defeated Xianxia. Not only Xianxia was embarrassed, but the entire Class of God was embarrassed. Heavenly Academy students who were known as Waste Class, and the top student in Class of God, Xianxia, who was known as the number 1 beauty, had a one-on-one competition. Xianxia not only relied on her profound grade advantage, she even took out a legendary grade weapon to kill Devil Class's Yiqing Luo. The entire Class of God's reputation was ruined in this competition. If the other students were to stay in Class of God for a month, it was estimated that by the end of the month, they would only receive 10 students' corpses. Because of this, Yiqing Luo decided to let Tong Ziqin, Kitty Li and Bei Ming Lianqing stay in Devil Class to temporarily take on the role of class monitor and class committee member. She would then choose 10 students whose ability and awareness were extremely strong to go to Class of God for training. Yan Xiaoyi was one of them. The trip to the Class of Gods would take place in a few days. The students were all injured. How could they go to the Class of Gods? Just apply to the dean to postpone it. Don't forget. The class that wins first has to represent the Heavenly Academy and head to the southern continent to participate in the Academy exchange meet. Yiqing Luo comforted him in a gentle voice. Just put the time to go to the Class of Gods after the exchange meet. Exchange conference? Yan Xiaoyi was surprised. Isn't it still a few months later? Why is it also brought forward? The southern continent was the headquarters of the Academy. Every year at the end of the year, the headquarters would hold an Academy exchange conference. Every academy would lead a class to the exchange conference. Every time the Heavenly Academy selected the class for the exchange meet, it would always be the class that won the championship in the previous years. According to the schedule, the exchange conference would be held after the previous interclass competitions. But this time, because the Heavenly Academy had brought forward the interclass competition, too many things happened. Therefore, the headquarters decided to hold the conference in advance. This was what Yiqing Luo had heard from the peach yesterday. Chapter 13-14. On the second day of recuperating in Shi family evening, the students' waste token sent a message to the academy, gathering all the students to arrive at the academy on time tomorrow morning. Yiqing Luo took a look at her brothers who were still lying on the bed, unable to make any big movements. She decided to go to the academy and personally apply for half a month's leave from the director. She had just walked to the entrance when she saw two old men dressed in white robes standing at the entrance. One of them was beaming with joy while the other had a gloomy face as his brows creased tightly. These two people were God Thief and Ghost Doctor. Last Qing Luo, are you going to the academy to apply for leave? Let Ghost Doctor accompany you. God Thief pushed Ghost Doctor towards Yiqing Luo. Ghost Doctor's status in the academy, even the director has to be wary of him. Ghost Doctor? Yiqing Luo looked at Ghost Doctor, whose face was filled with impatience as her heart started to pound. She had indeed intended to find a helper to meet the director together. But her initial thought was to find teacher Guiyu together. After all, between the director and Guiyu, there was some hidden, unspeakable story. If it was Ghost Doctor along, then there would be no need to specially trouble teacher Guiyu. But Master Ghost Doctor hated troublesome matters. To make Master Ghost Doctor stay at the Shi family's other residence, to help these students to treat their illnesses. To Ghost Doctor this was already a huge trouble. Now he still wanted him to accompany her to look for the director? Wouldn't he be too insatiable? Master Ghost Doctor has been helping me to take care of these injured brothers these few days, and has already delayed the medicinal pills for several days, so I'm not numb. Still not leaving? Ghost Doctor's impatient voice interrupted her words. Not waiting for Yiqing Luo to react, Ghost Doctor had already taken the lead, walking towards the direction of Heavenly Academy. Seeing Yiqing Luo still in a daze, God Thief patted her back. Please, last Luo, aren't you going to follow up? Yiqing Luo was stunned as she looked at Ghost Doctor's departing figure, as her heart felt warm. Her brows overflowed with gentleness as she revealed an elegant smile. God Thief, thank you. My brothers, I'll leave them to you. Saying that, she turned around and immediately chased up to Ghost Doctor's footsteps. Looking at Yiqing Luo's departing figure, God Thief's smile slowly faded. His eyes, which were not the least bit serious, were also covered with a layer of solemnity. Little girl, you have to grow up quickly. Otherwise, when the situation becomes more and more serious, you will lose your qualifications, he muttered in a low voice as if he was talking to himself, but also as if he was talking to someone. Until Yiqing Luo's silhouette completely disappeared from his sight. Only then did Holy Pirate look away. He turned around and walked towards the Shi family's residence. He stepped into the residence and returned to his room. Holy Pirate scanned his surroundings and confirmed that the aura had disappeared. Only then did he slowly open his palm. A paper crane shimmering with mystic light slowly rose from his palm. For the sake of the girl's safety, this matter must be reported. At this moment, a tall and slender figure was standing in the dark not far from the main entrance of the mansion. That glistening purple robe complemented that peerless face, making it even more frightening. I will lose, what qualifications? His thin, rosy lips softly mumbled God Pirate's words. His peach blossom eyes gradually narrowed, concealing all the profound meaning. Then he flicked his sleeve. His figure seemed to have melted into the air and disappeared. Chapter 13-15. The Entrance of the Heavenly Academy. Yiqing Luo looked at the pitch-black and tightly shut academy's main door as she halted her footsteps. There was no one in the Heavenly Academy and the entire academy was quiet. There wasn't even a guard at the door. Yiqing Luo's slender brows creased slightly as she stared at the pitch-black Heavenly Academy, inexplicably feeling it was like an extremely terrifying and gloomy ancient castle. She moved her feet and approached the academy. But the Ghost Doctor's hand pressed down on his shoulder. Come back, don't forget the academy's rules. Yiqing Luo had the Heavenly Academy's little booklet, so naturally she was clear about the rules. According to the rules of the academy, No student was allowed to approach the academy during the holidays. Otherwise they would be punished and their class would be demoted. This punishment was extremely harsh. Because of this, in the past 10 years, not a single student had dared to violate this rule. Yiqing Luo halted her footsteps. She caressed the profound phoenix ring with her slender fingers. She took out a red veil and covered her face, only revealing a pair of enchanting eyes that were filled with a biting cold light. However, when she looked at the ghost doctor, her gaze became mischievous and gentle. As long as the academy doesn't find out, the academy won't be able to punish me. No. The ghost doctor turned and left without hesitation, his voice cold and annoyed. Don't think that the academy can't catch you just because you can teleport. After taking a few steps, he realized that there was no one following behind him. The ghost doctor's brows furrowed tightly, and she turned her head to look behind her. Under the moonlight, the red-clothed girl crossed her arms and looked at him with a faint smile. That pair of mischievous eyes was calm and elegant at this moment. What is Master Ghost Doctor afraid of? The girl's clear and sweet voice floated into the ghost doctor's ears. The ghost doctor's body stiffened. Yiqing Luo laughed lowly, her laughter was sweet and charming. Ghost Doctor's master's identity, I know it's definitely not simple and definitely not just an alchemist only. Ghost Doctor Master and Holy Pirate are not willing to tell me because my power is not at a level where I can know you. In the night, the Ghost Doctor's expression couldn't be seen clearly. But from the Ghost Doctor's voice, he could hear the shock in his voice. After a long time he suddenly chuckled. The lines on his usually stern face also softened. He slowly walked towards Yiqing Luo's direction. Master Ghost Doctor, I want to go in. Yiqing Luo's voice was neither servile nor overbearing, revealing her determination. If I don't take the initiative to face it, I will never be able to truly grow. I will take good care of myself, please don't worry. It wasn't Yiqing Luo's first time sneaking into the academy during the holidays. The last time he snuck in, he discovered that the dean had taken advantage of the holidays to spread the underground forces around the academy. Could be said, the Heavenly Academy was actually the hidden base of the dark forces in the Nirvana realm. This time, if he were to sneak into the academy during the holidays, perhaps he would be able to make some important discoveries. Her teleportation secret art had already been trained to the 3rd level in the Azure Dew bracelet with Old Man Song. If something really happened and he used the teleportation secret technique to escape, it was also a piece of cake. The Ghost Doctor met her unwavering gaze and muttered to himself for a moment. His expression had already reverted to his usual impatience. All right, I'll accompany you in. A bright smile blossomed on the young girl's face. She spread open her arms and wrapped them around the Ghost Doctor, hugging him and flattering him with incomparable joy. Long live Master Ghost Doctor, I love Master Ghost Doctor the most. This lass. Her face changed really quickly. The Ghost Doctor sighed helplessly. Chapter 13:16. The cold moonlight shone on the ground. Yiqing Luo's agile figure shuttled through the academy. Her footsteps were swift like the wind, totally unable to catch a trace of her. The academy was quiet. After passing by several class courtyards, there was no sound at all. There wasn't any light in the academy, emitting a terrifying cold atmosphere. In the darkness, Yiqing Luo and Ghost Doctor exchanged glances and moved towards the direction of the library pavilion at the same time. Just as she reached the entrance of the library pavilion, Yiqing Luo acutely heard someone's voice coming from the library pavilion. Yiqing Luo's eyes shone brightly as she and Ghost Doctor concealed their presence and quietly approached. On the 2nd story of the library pavilion, a luminous pearl shone brightly on the entire 2nd story. Director knelt on the ground, shivering. And in front of him stood 2 figures. Sir Holy Law. I really didn't know. Didn't know that little slut's ability was so strong. Director kept kowtowing as he broke out in cold sweat. She's just an earth-profound 4th grade cultivator, how strong can she be? The lady sneered in disdain, her tone was extremely dissatisfied. From what I see, you obviously want that little slut to win the championship. Director trembled even more, Guardian who? I'm loyal to his lordship, absolutely don't dare to have any disloyalty, and will not have any disloyalty. Then tell me, how are you going to explain to his lordship, that little slut won Xuanhuan Luli's blood oath? The lady walked closer to Director. Under the luminous pearl, that exquisite and beautiful face, was covered with a thick viciousness. This face. Wasn't it Yiqing Qian? I don't know. Director didn't dare to look at Yiqing Qian. I have already increased the difficulty and cooperated with Guardian and Lord Holy Law's request to make Yiqing Luo lose in the competition, but... He wanted to cry but no tears came out. This pot really shouldn't be carried by him. Right from the start he had set so many traps to prevent Yiqing Luo from participating in the competition. And in the competition, every round of the competition, he had cooperated with this Guardian whose request. Finally losing the competition. That was also because Xuanhuan Luli was useless. That was also the fault of that Lord Holy Law who impersonated Lu Shuiyu. In short, if I can't get the little slut's profound heart jade, then this protector will use your profound heart jade and soul to offer it to his lordship first. Yiqing Qian's cold eyes swept over as she flicked her sleeves. Wolf Shengfa hugged her slender waist tightly from the side. All right, don't get angry and ruin your pretty little face. Yiqing Qian obediently leaned into Wolf Saint Art's arms, her gaze suddenly turned foxy. I'm worried for Wolf Saint Art. If his lordship were to blame you, I'll feel heartache. The sweet voice caused the Wolf Saint Technique's expression to change slightly. He increased the strength in his hand and directly pressed Yiqing Qian onto the table. The number of souls that his lordship needs today is increasing and the pure young cultivator's souls are becoming lesser and lesser. The supply is insufficient and he has already fallen into a coma. Yiqing Qian's tender and enchanting voice rang in the quiet library pavilion's second story. Before his lordship wakes up, this Saint Art will personally take away the profound heart jade from Yiqing Luo. Wolf Saint Art said disapprovingly. Immediately he lifted up Yiqing Qian's skirt. Seeing that you're so worried about this Saint Art will satisfy you now. The room was charming and gentle. Director knelt on the ground, listening to such a provocative voice. He didn't dare to raise his head. And at this moment? Chapter 13-17. Cough. These two people. Ghost Doctor was after all an old man. Standing with a young lady at the entrance, he heard the sounds of this scene. It was simply too awkward. Pooey. Yiqing Luo spat out a soft sound. Only her lips breathed out without any sound at all. But borrowing the light from the second story's luminous pearl, Ghost Doctor could clearly see Yiqing Luo's lips. She said word by word, "Who are they? These two people are obviously livestock ready to estrus anytime, mating anywhere." The Ghost Doctor's expression, which had been cold all along, changed slightly. All right, he admitted that there were two livestock inside. Hearing Yiqing Qian's coquettish voice, Yiqing Luo's eyes revealed a chilly intent. Her lips curled, a cold and treacherous smile blossomed on her lips. Yiqing Qian. She had not expected to see Yiqing Qian at this moment. She had intended to wait for her brother's injuries to recover before she took the initiative to look for Yiqing Qian. Now that she saw, how could she let go of such a good opportunity? West Lawn Public Square's mountainside, revenge for attacking her brothers. Taking the opportunity when she wasn't around, setting fire to the World Group's old residence, attempting to take revenge for killing her brothers. New hatred and old hatred. She would make Yiqing Qian pay back 100 times. The iciness in her eyes was like a bone-cutting knife. Ghost Doctor, who was beside her, also sensed this anger. He frowned as he stretched out his hand to hold Yiqing Luo's arm, indicating for her to restrain her presence. Generally speaking, a cultivator's perceptive ability was much stronger than ordinary people. Someone was staring at them. Cultivators would discover it at the first instance. However, the two people in the room were still in the midst of making love, enjoying themselves. They totally didn't notice the commotion outside the door. As for the director, who was kneeling on the ground with a complicated feeling, he had already wandered off somewhere and didn't notice anything. After Ghost Doctor's reminder, Yiqing Luo then realized that her arrogance was too insolent. She immediately restrained the anger in her eyes as she pursed her lips. If it was in the past, she would never show her emotions on her face. Even if she met her eyes, if she didn't want to, no one would be able to find out her thoughts from her eyes. But now it was different. Because of her concern for her brothers. When he saw Yiqing Qian, the fury and hatred in his heart surged up. Her fair little hand was pressed against her chest. The anger that was burning in this place was still boiling. She closed her eyes and suppressed this irrepressible urge. Calm down, I need to calm down, even if he wanted revenge. He could not be so impulsive. At this moment, Wolf Saint Technique and Yiqing Qian had already ended their battle. The two of them panted heavily, mixed in with Yiqing Qian's tender panting, praising the Wolf Saint method to be awesome. "You're still here?" Wolf Xianxia seemed to have just realized that the dean was still kneeling at the side. His face darkened. "Do you want me to dig your eyes out?" The dean trembled in fear. I didn't see anything. I've been waiting for Lord Saint Technique to give me the next task." The wolf sacred Technique still wanted to say something, but his chest was caressed by a soft and boneless little hand. "Lord Sacred Technique, why bother with him? Who is your woman? I don't think he has the guts to look." This touch made the wolf Saint Technique feel something again. Chapter 13:18. The dean replied in a trembling voice. "South Continent's Blaze Lair, have you heard of it?" Wolf Saint Magic asked again. Director: "Yes, I have." Wolf Saint Magic replied, "Recently there was some movement in the Blaze Lair. South Continent's Imperial Tutor prophesied that there would be a divine object descending into the world. South Continent's major forces swarmed over but no one came back alive." Director suddenly understood something. What Lord Saint Magic means is, Lord is about to break the seal and the demand for souls is increasing. Wolf Saint Magic said faintly. Director knelt on the ground and kowtowed. "I understand. This lowly one will definitely handle this matter beautifully and won't give Lord Saint Law any more trouble." Wolf Saint Magic's nature was flourishing from Yi Qingqian's teasing. After giving his instructions, he casually waved his hand and suppressed Yi Qingqian once again. Director immediately got up and retreated to the door as if he had received the order. Director closed the second-floor door and patted his chest as he took a deep breath. He wiped the cold sweat off his head and was about to leave. Suddenly his footsteps paused and his nose sniffed. It seemed there was a familiar smell. Before he could think deeper, he heard Yi Qingqian's coquettish voice coming from the second floor of the library pavilion. He shrank his neck and quickened his footsteps. That smell should be Guardianhu's smell. It was better for him to leave earlier. Otherwise, if Wolf Saint Magic knew that he was standing at the door, he would probably think that he had some special feelings for Guardianhu. After Director's figure disappeared from the library pavilion, the two figures who were hiding in the dark returned to the door. Yiqing Luo looked at the direction where Director left and a trace of coldness appeared in her eyes. At this critical juncture, Wolf Saint Magic could still bring Yi Qingqian to roam freely here. Didn't Dmo Xian ask the Imperial Palace's disciples to destroy Wolf Saint Magic's forces using the Dark Forces as an excuse? Could it be? What new ideas did the Dark Forces come up with to contend against the Imperial Palace? No wonder. That day Tang Beiyuan wanted to ask Dmo Xian to return to the Imperial Palace. No wonder. She didn't see Dmo Xian around when she woke up this morning. Did he rush back to settle this matter? Southern Continent's exchange meet. Blaze Lair. They wanted to use the exchange to lure the students of the various academies to the Flame Nest, after which the souls of all the students would be sacrificed to the King of Darkness. To the outside world they could declare, those students had died in the Fire Nest. That was a good idea. Girl, it's time to go back. The ghost doctor's expression was extremely gloomy. He had probably overheard the conversation between the Wolf Saint Magic and the Dean. Both of them had guessed the purpose of the Holy Wolf Technique. The ghost doctor probably wanted to discuss this matter with God Pirate. Yiqing Luo nodded her head. Hearing this news, Yiqing Luo naturally didn't think of applying for leave from the director. However, she would not leave so easily. At the very least, he had to let Yi Qingqian taste the bitterness. It wasn't scary. What was terrifying was that Yi Qingqian would rather die than live. Yiqing Luo's slender fingers flicked the profound phoenix ring. He took out a bamboo tube that was about the length and size of a finger. The other hand was holding a medicine bottle. He unscrewed the cap, put the bamboo tube into the bottle and twisted it twice. Picking up the bamboo tube, she blew the medicinal powder towards the second story of the library pavilion. After doing this, Yiqing Luo then took out a handkerchief and wrapped the bamboo tube. Let's go. The ghost doctor looked at Yiqing Luo with a strange expression. As an elder great alchemist, he just took a whiff and guessed what medicine it was. He couldn't understand. A young lady? Chapter 13:19. This medicine was made up of hundreds of extremely potent medicinal herbs which could make one boil and be in heat were refined. The effect of this medicine was extremely strong. Yiqing Luo named this medicine ecstasy powder. Just a little bit of it? Men would always maintain this hot-blooded state at all times. And the more boiling, the more energetic they were. So energetic that even if there were 5 to 6 women at the same time, they wouldn't feel tired at all. Of course. This kind of boiling spirit, under the condition of being in heat at all times. The woman who was slept with would be miserable. This medicine had no effect on the man's early stage. But under the premise of the man being affected by the ecstasy powder, the woman who had sex with the man would be miserable. The side effects of this medicine would slowly be transferred to the woman's body through the sex, spreading throughout her internal organs. In less than a month's time, this woman's internal organs would dry up and she would die. Even if the doctor came to check her pulse or to dissect the corpse, they could only find out. The woman would die of old organs on the spot. And the man who was affected by the ecstasy powder would unscrupulously overdraft his own energy in this 1 month. Finally, he would die on the woman. Furthermore, Yiqing Luo was very curious. If Wolfsang technique was bewitched by this medicine and went crazy to forcefully take over Yiqing Qian, would Yiqing Qian split open again like the last time Lung Fenghua was in the imperial garden, bleeding profusely? Of course, if Wolfsang technique really loved Yiqing Qian, no matter what, he would bear with the ecstasy powder's effect for Yiqing Qian to avoid being too intimate with her. With a status like Wolfsang technique, he could have as many women as he wanted, just a wave of his hand was enough. Of course, this depended on whether Wolfsang technique's willpower was strong enough. This depended on whether Yiqing Qian was willing to let Wolfsang technique find other women to settle. Most importantly, they were so crazy now. Could Yiqing Qian still walk out of the second story of the library pavilion? Yiqing Luo was looking forward to the next show. After leaving the academy, Ghost Doctor's gaze towards Yiqing Luo was extremely strange. It made Yiqing Luo's hair stand on end. She raised her hands in surrender. Master Ghost Doctor, ask whatever you want to ask. Don't look at me like that. That medicine. How did you get it? Moreover, there were a few medicinal herbs that even he couldn't ask about. The attention of the Ghost Doctor, who was obsessed with refining medicine, was completely attracted by this medicinal herb. Give me that medicine bottle. Yiqing Luo's expression turned strange as she looked suspiciously at Ghost Doctor. Master Ghost Doctor, you're already so old, using medicine to raise your own physical strength. Isn't it a little too much? Speaking of this, Yiqing Luo paused for a moment. Seeing that the Ghost Doctor's expression was becoming darker and darker, she hugged her head and softly admitted defeat. Master Ghost Doctor, if you really want this type of medicine, I'll specially refine a pill for you some other day. At least it won't harm your body. Take out the medicine. The Ghost Doctor couldn't take it anymore, his white brows trembled. Yiqing Luo pouted as she retrieved the bottle of ecstasy powder from the profound phoenix ring. The Ghost Doctor snatched it away and stuffed it into his sleeves. Yiqing Luo's lips twitched. Do you need to be so robber? In the past, she was the one who snatched other people's things without saying a word. Now that it was her turn to be snatched, she didn't dare to voice out her anger. This feeling was really aggrieved. Seeing Ghost Doctor holding the medicine bottle, not even turning his head back as he walked towards the direction of the villa. Chapter 1320. Ghost Doctor directly ignored Yiqing Luo's howls, and in a blink of an eye, he had already blended into the night. Yiqing Luo touched the red veil on her face. She'd better return to Shi family's residence to rest first and go to the academy tomorrow morning to apply for leave from the director. Just as she was about to raise her hand and pull down the veil, the wind brought along a strange smell. Her ears twitched and indeed heard the sound of something breaking through the air. Her expression sunk slightly and her figure swiftly stretched out. An enchanting red dress in the night drew an alluring arc. That red remnant shadow seemed to have added a beautiful shadow to the night. Bam! A loud sound was heard. The place where Yiqing Luo was standing earlier instantly collapsed into a deep pit. The surrounding dust flew up, and in that deep pit, a sharp arrow could be faintly seen. Arrow? Someone wanted to kill her? Yiqing Luo stared at that arrow which was stuck into the ground. Its tail was still shaking as she squinted her eyes. Before she could ponder deeply, someone had already submitted the answer. Only to hear an extremely familiar voice coming from the darkness. That tone was filled with thick hatred and anger. I just heard that little slut Yiqing Luo's voice over there. Go and search. Go and search. When he mentioned Yiqing Luo's name, Yiqing Luo could hear the sound of teeth grinding in these 3 words. There was a feeling of wanting to tear her into pieces and skin her alive. Yiqing Luo's brows rose as she stopped her footwork. She directly crossed her arms and stood on the original spot. With a smile which didn't look like a smile, she looked towards the direction where the voice was getting nearer. From the alley, 10 overkillers with bows and arrows walked out. And behind the 10 overkillers stood a middle-aged man who was bent over in battle. He pushed a wheeled chair which was similar to a modern wheelchair. On that chair sat a lady with a pale face, like a ferocious ghost. This person was none other than xuanhuan. Ever since the day before yesterday, her profound jade heart was dug out by Luo. She had completely lost her status in the Xuanhuan family. A waste without a profound jade heart. The Xuanhuan family didn't need her at all. Xuanhuan had completely become an abandoned chess piece. Even her own brother, xuanhuan, had no intention of saving her. He only gave her enough money to live the rest of her life without worrying about food and clothing. He also agreed to send her to the Xuanhuan outer sect side courtyard tomorrow so that she could live the rest of her life in peace. Xuanhuan outer sect side courtyard. Ah, what kind of place is that? That was the place where the Xuanhuan family's sinful slaves, good-for-nothings, or young masters and ladies who had committed crimes had been distributed over the years. She was the most favored fifth daughter of the Xuanhuan family. Why would he go to the outer sect side courtyard? This was basically asking her to die. She would never go. Xuanhuan had placed all the blame on Luo for her fate falling to such a state. It was Luo who caused her to lose everything. It was Luo who turned her from the glorious fifth miss into a wastrel. Hence, he held on to the belief that even if he died he would drag Luo into hell together with him. Xuanhuan gave the money that xuanhuan had given her to the Hall of Assassins. 10,000 gold coins in exchange for 17 killers. 2 gold medal assassins and 15 silver medal assassins. These were enough to make Luo die without a burial ground. When she saw Xuanhuan Luo's half-squinted eyes revealed a chilly smile. Good fellow. She came just in time. She was feeling extremely depressed right now. When she saw Qian, she had no choice but to rush up without any hesitation to seek revenge for her injured brothers. This anger was still stuck in her chest with nowhere to vent it out. Xuanhuan appeared. TSK. Chapter 1321. Luo. Xuanhuan gritted her teeth as she shouted Luo's name. You slut. It's all because of you. All because of you. You caused me to become like this. I'm going to kill you. Her eyes were filled with madness as she called out to the killers beside her. Kill her. Kill her for me. These killers were all well trained. But they couldn't help but felt some displeasure towards this employer. Most of their daily work was done on their own. They had the habit of checking on their targets. Then they would take action under the circumstances where no one knew. But this crazy Xuanhuan family's fifth miss, no matter what they investigated or where they went, she would follow behind them. To put it nicely, she wanted to see Luo die in front of her. Hence, a group of killers brought along a waist and wandered around. Their efficiency was also reduced by half. Especially this waist, there was a hole in her brain. The hole was filled with sh*t. Earlier, these killers were checking on the academy's entrance, checking on when Luo would return to the academy. Coincidentally, they heard Luo's voice. This waist with a hole in her brain was clamoring for them to take action. Taking action secretly and not hitting the target. So forget it. But this waist with a hole in her brain was clamoring towards Luo. They were killers. Their information network was the best. The news of Luo having a divine relic, divine dragon and sacred beast, they knew about it too. Going head-to-head might end up in a miserable state. However, the killer's inner roars could not be transmitted to this waist with a hole in her brain. When Xuanhuan saw Luo, she only saw Luo in her eyes. Her entire brain could only be stuffed with Luo. She didn't want to bother about anything else and couldn't be bothered. At most, she would self-explode and perish together with Luo. Such a stubborn employer who sent herself to death without any hesitation. These killers had no way to defy her. After accepting the mission for the sake of the killer hall's reputation and credibility, even if the employer had a hole in her brain, they had to brace themselves and listen to the employer's instructions. Luo's lips curled as her fingertips flicked and a flame fan appeared in her hands. It was her newly repaired glower flame fan. She could use these people to test how powerful the gourd flame fan, which had merged with her soul, was. Luo's lips curled into a chilly arc as her cold gaze fell onto Xuanhuan. Xuanhuan, I didn't expect you to be so trustworthy. You took the initiative to look for me so quickly to let me break your meridians? Xuanhuan face instantly darkened, and her gaze became ruthless. Don't be too proud. I want to see if your life will be taken away first, or if my meridians will be severed. What she and Yi Qing Luo had agreed on was a blood oath. A blood oath sworn by blood. The loser would never be able to escape the bet. Even if she went to the outer sect, the blood oath that she and Yi Qing Luo had set would still backfire and complete the bet that they had set. Moreover, it would make her suffer endless pain. Because of this. That was why Xuanhuan Liuli was so desperate. Even if she had to die, she would drag Yi Qing Luo along with her. Under Xuanhuan Liuli's command, the killers surrounded and attacked Yi Qing Luo's direction. The surging dark force covered the sky and covered the earth. The killer hall's killers were indeed specially trained. 2 gold medal killers, their profound grades were at least Mystic Profound 8th grade and Earth Profound 2nd grade. The other silver medal killers' abilities weren't weak at all. The more sinister thing was, the few of them directly trapped Yi Qing Luo, not giving her any chance to release her profound energy. You're tuning in to the Sword Dance in the Vast Sky YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.